Hello everyone, this is Eva, and my channel's name is Ink and Flame, and I've been here on YouTube since I think 2018, but I don't make a lot of videos. So I just felt like coming back and making this hashtag that Anna at Astral Lady Tarot started, and it just appealed to me. I've been wanting to have a more permanent space to do readings and make videos, and I now have that pretty much here at this space in my home. So for most of the year anyway, I hope I can work here and make some videos and do that a little bit more often. So the hashtag that Anna started is called Show Me How You Practice, and the abbreviated version of that I'll put up on the screen here, but it's hashtag SMHYP. And I like the idea of being able to get away from showcasing deck after deck and instead actually use the cards and kind of share with each other some of the things that we like to do when we're practicing on our own, or at least I typically read for myself. I know that some people typically only read for other people, but my readings tend to be for myself in my home and pretty much anywhere in my home, although I do prefer either my bedroom or this office here where I can close the door, put up my do not disturb sign, and kind of go deep into the reading. Let's see. I thought for today I would do maybe 2 readings if there's time. I would do a daily draw because I haven't done that yet today, and I would do perhaps more like a question type reading. And I like to feel my way into which deck to use. Today I'm feeling this deck, the Solitary Witch Oracle by Lucy Cavendish and art by Lady Viktoria. I haven't used this one in a while and I haven't used it very much, but I was feeling like I wanted an outdoorsy deck and yet something kind of witchy, and this was, of my witchy decks, this is the one that called me the most. That is sometimes how I'll do it. I have a few decks that I kind of go to more or less regularly. I like these Seasons of the Witch decks for daily draws, but not as like a habitual thing where I have to use it just several times during the season. I like to use it off and on, and there's a few other decks that I like to go to kind of regularly, or they switch out seasonally. And sometimes I use more than one deck. Sometimes I use tarot, sometimes I use oracle. It really just depends. I do like to have my little moon diary handy. It has the, let's see, it has the, yeah, here we are in September. The different astrological things and sunrises and moon rises and the setting times for each of those. So I don't do a lot of writing in here. Occasionally I'll write something in there, but I use it mainly for just marking, or rather following what's going on in the sky. It's a really great little booklet for that. It has a lot of things going for it. Let's see. So what I'll do is quiet myself, ground myself by putting my feet flat on the floor, kind of calm myself, and I will pray to my guides. I will pray to Spirit. I will set an intention for basically which guides I'm inviting into this reading. Sometimes it's a very small number, sometimes it's a wider number. Even for a daily draw, it can be a wide number, but often it's a smaller number for a daily draw. And then I'll just pray and shuffle. So I set the intention that I'd like to invite my spirit council into my reading today, this daily draw, and any other guides that I am meant to work with today for my highest good and the highest good of all. Please bring forward the top card that you would have me meditate on today and reflect on and learn from. And any others that flip or fall and feel like they're part of the reading are welcome too. I don't always follow that method. I sometimes cut the deck and take whatever cards come from, however many times it breaks. And occasionally I'll do a spread, a more complicated spread, or even use multiple decks for a daily draw. But today I'm going to keep it simple. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this deck. I like to sometimes thank my guides for the deck that I'm using. Thank you for all those who made it possible, all those who brought it into being, and all those who helped me have this copy. What do you have for me today, Spirit Guides? Ooh, what do you have for me today from this beautiful deck? What energies do I need to be aware of? What lessons do I need to be thinking about and learning? What guidance do I need? And sometimes I'll feel like, okay, I think I'm done. Like a certain way I phrase the question it will cause a shift in my body, and I'll think, okay, I think I'm done shuffling there, and I'll just sort of pause and sort of listen and try to shuffle it again. If I feel like I'm done, you know, I'll stop there. Am I done? It's a little difficult when I'm sharing the reading with someone else to sense that sort of subtle energy. And this took me a while, you know, to learn. I had to try different things. All the things I'm doing are things that evolved over time. I've tried different ways of choosing my cards and different ways of praying. I didn't always work with guides. I've evolved. I've been doing tarot since 2017. I've had my channel since 2018. I think I said that already. And yeah, I keep learning. I'm sure I'll keep changing things up, and my daily draw won't look like this forever, but I think I'm good there. So let's see what we have. Ooh, I love it because I love stars and moon. That's beautiful. So because I'm not familiar with this deck, I'm going to spend a minute looking at the guidebook. But first, actually, I like to just have a reaction to the card, right? So I was very blessed by this artwork. It feels very peaceful. It feels like it's less about sleep and more about being at one with my magic, being at peace with my particular magical practice. And honestly, I did a reading earlier today about some things about my magical, not so much about my magical practice, but more about my creative work and creative practices and some options I have. And it was very, I didn't do it with this deck, but it was very helpful and encouraging and inspiring even. And pulling this card is making me feel like that energy. So it's kind of like a wonderful confirmation of the energies of today already, because I'm doing this midday. I don't always do my daily draw first thing in the day. Sometimes I don't get to it till end of the day. Now it's like mid-afternoon, so it just feels very much like the whole day is sort of blessed in magic. Sometimes I do a nightly draw. I'm doing that more often than I used to. And my nightly draws tend to be a little bit more, they feel a little bit more about my spiritual path, whereas my daily draw tends to be more about my day's activities or the lessons of that day or the events of that day. And my nightly draw can reflect on the events of the day, but often I feel like it takes me deeper down a path into my personal walk and my not so much shadow work, but just like my sacred purpose in the world, you know. And I kind of enjoy doing nightly draws as well. So let's open this up now and see what the guidebook offers. Let's see. I won't read the whole thing, but you can screenshot your screen and see what you see there. The solitary witch has freedom, and some nights when the air is soft and warm, the stars are bright, and the moon is dark, she steps out into what others call the darkness. She holds no torch, and she lights no fire. The only warmth comes from the closeness of the faraway stars. She stares a while, then makes a little bed for herself and nestles into the earth, and lets each star drench her with its light, its wisdom, its promise. She sometimes asks a question and then sleeps, and the stars and the closeness she feels with them seem to bring her nearer to understanding what the answer could look like. No one asks her what she is doing or why she does these things. She is free. That line really hit me. No one asks her what she is doing or why she does these things. She is free because, I hold too much back because I feel like people are watching me, even in my own backyard or my home, and certainly in places like social media. it's hard for me to come out fully or just be natural and do what I want to do. That's a big part of it, doing what I want to do. I've been raising kids so long that I've prioritized other people for so long that it's an effort for me to focus in and actually just be free with myself to do what I want to do. Even making videos like this is a sign of that magic coming on board, because I so often don't feel like I can play like that. We'll just jump ahead here. I want to read the whole thing. Never mind. I'm going to read the whole thing because why not? This is what I would do in my practice, right? So she sleeps, starlight shaping her features, her skin bathed in the light of other solar systems, and she dreams the dreams of one who knows the comfort of belonging, not only to this world, but to the worlds that lie beyond them. That's beautiful. I'll come back to that in a minute. Meaning, connect with starlight. Sleep under the stars. The night has wisdom for you. Find your answers within the stars, the presence of the night goddess. Reversed. Too long between night adventures, a need to see the stars, the soul longing for a time amidst the darkness. Wisdom from the night places seems elusive. Difficulty creating time for the night and for connection with its wisdom. Fear of the night. Inability to hear the calls of the night goddess. So I do love to go into the guidebook, especially with decks that I either am not familiar with at all or that I find have a particularly rich guidebook. And that's partly because I'm a very big word person. Words just have a way of speaking to me loudly, and it's a little bit like bibliomancy. I get certain hits from certain lines or words. And I would say here, this is so comforting because just recently, I forget what led to it, but something led me back to just connecting to spirit. I had gotten so busy connecting to different guides that I'd kind of lost my practice of connecting directly to source. And when I did that recently, it felt very comforting and very true for me, and it felt like a homecoming. So while I love to work with ancestors, and I try to get to know other deities or the fae and angels and so on, nothing feels as true and right and natural for me as connecting straight to source. So that was lovely. And as far as a daily draw, I would just prop this up on a stand like this, probably on my altar or on this desk here, and have it out all day for me to look at. And let's see, where did I put those? What I would also do is with the deck itself, I'd put it back in its box or bag, and I'd put this little slip of paper that I made. I have a bunch of these, just so that in case this sits on my altar for a few days, sometimes I might leave my daily draws for a few days, I won't go grabbing this deck and thinking it's complete. I'll be reminded that, oh yeah, you have that other card there. Or sometimes I'll have 6 or 7 cards out, right? Or even more. And I don't want to try doing a reading, especially if I have that many missing, if the deck is in use somewhere else. So I'll just slip these in and store it again. And then when I pull it out, I'll see that. I've made up a bunch of things also in case the deck hasn't yet been consecrated. Maybe I've opened it, but I haven't done my ceremonial consecration. I'll put a slip of paper in there that says, needs to be consecrated, so I don't accidentally do a reading before I've consecrated it. So that's that. Sometimes my daily draws are really, really long. I go deep down a rabbit hole with them, but more or less I try to keep them short because I have lots of other readings I like to do not each day, but often a day, or I would say not too many days go by where I don't do a reading. And more often than not, I probably do 2 or 3 readings a day. Just about this and that. It could be anything. So another practice I've started lately is I have asked my guides to work with me in my list of decks with I have them on a spreadsheet. I also have subsets. So separate sheets on my spreadsheet are for subsets of decks. So I'll have all my decks listed. And then I'll have a list that are nature decks, and then I'll have a list that are shamanic decks, and a few other things like that. And so if I'm feeling like I want a particularly subset of decks to work with, but I don't want to choose it myself, I want my guides to choose it, I'll go to that list. Let's say there's 1 to 20 nature decks listed. I'll ask my guides to work with me by using a random number generator on the internet, choose a deck through that method. They'll come up with a number and I'll go to that deck, and that'll be the deck I use. And this is a fairly new practice. I've probably been using it about 6 months or so, maybe all of this year. And I've just really enjoyed that interplay between my guides picking a deck, or several for a reading, or me picking one and them picking one, and seeing that they had some special messages because of the type of deck they chose. So that's what I did for today. I'm going to go ahead and do another reading. And I had them pick the deck, and this is the one they chose. This is not a deck I pick too often. I don't love the art style of this deck, I'll be honest, but I bought it because, I forget why I bought it, but I know that the book in here by Kim Huggens is a great resource for someone like me who spent a lot of my adult years in the church and didn't grow up, exposed to a lot of esoteric or occult knowledge, or even other cultures necessarily. I mean, I didn't live under a rock, and thankfully I had parents who I grew up watching, things on PBS about other cultures and plant and animal life and all that good stuff. But that kind of stopped when I got into the church again at age 19, unfortunately. So this book has been, I brought this one out too. This book has been a great resource for someone like me because it has a lot of information from different cultures around the world and different practices of those cultures. Not that I'm not saying it's fairly scholarly. There's a lot of footnotes and things because Kim Huggens, who wrote this book as well, Tarot 101, Mastering the Art of Reading the Cards. She's an editor of several anthologies of nonfiction work on mythology, magic, and occultism. She seems to know her stuff fairly well and does a pretty good job with research. So I love this deck's book, and I thought, okay, they chose this deck. Let's see what happens here. I wanted to ask about the week ahead. I don't do a lot of that kind of reading. I don't do a lot of new moon or full moon readings because I've just found that they aren't that effective for me. They kind of gum up my spiritual walk. They confuse me more than help me typically. But it's hard to come up with a reading for this sort of hashtag that is, I feel comfortable sharing. It doesn't involve anybody, and it's not too personal, and that it can be fairly quick. So I also want to do a week ahead because one of the astrologers I was listening to earlier was talking about this week being a little bit crunchy, perhaps. And I can find, I also we're getting close to the eclipse season, and because Pluto just went back into Capricorn. I don't pay a lot of attention to astrology per se, but I do find certain parts of it to be relevant, and they do resonate. So let's ask about this week ahead for me. Like I said, I don't do this type of reading all that often. I used to do it. I did it for a while. I tried it out, doing it week by week. It just kind of grew stale. It didn't really speak to me. I was doing enough for other readings that I didn't need to have a whole week. Also, I do a Sabbath reading. So for Lammas, I have cards pulled and so forth. I do have an Instagram where I used to show all my Sabbath readings. I'm not doing that so much anymore, but I do occasionally post to my Instagram. And that is also Ink and Flame, which I can link in the description box if you're interested. I have a second channel where I do a lot of readings. Those are kind of for the collective, but they're also kind of for me to explore different topics. I'm still figuring that channel out. I just love to have a place where I can go and show how I practice, basically. Show what the cards are telling me about a certain topic, and hopefully bring that, maybe that inspiration or that help or healing, or what's the other word I like? Solace. What's the other word? Oh gosh. Yeah, I can't remember it. Maybe it'll come to me later and I'll put it on the screen. But I like to feel that it's like a need to show how tarot can guide us and bring about insight and open our eyes to certain solutions. I just feel like I need to show the world that and see where that goes. And it's also really important for me. In fact, I'm sure my guides started that practice for my sake, to get me talking because of various reasons. I don't share my views on things easily. I don't talk easily. So I started that channel in obedience, so to speak, to my guides, so that I would bring things up from within and practice channeling from the divine realms and practice reading and so forth. So I'll link that channel below if you're interested. But yeah, let's get back to the task at hand. Spirit guides. I'll call in my spirit council and my spirit team. It's a bigger group of guides. Show me what I need to show me for this week ahead, please. Spirit council, spirit team, and any other guides that I'm meant to be working with at this time that are in alignment with my spirit council, my spirit team, my highest good, my soul's path, and the highest good of all. What do you have for me to see this week? And then I'll stop and think about what spread I need to do, since I don't have a ready spread for this. What do I need to see for this week? Sometimes I want to do like a chronological, beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week. I could do that first. Let's do that first. We'll get top 3 cards, please. Let's speak to, and look at the bottom card too for the underlying energy. What do you need to show me for this week from now until like through Sunday? Now through Sunday. Top 3 cards, please. What do I need? And the bottom card too, please. What do I need to see? If any flip and fall out as well, and they feel like they're part of the reading, I welcome those today. Thank you, guides. Thank you for this deck. Thank you for all those who helped make it. The artist, the author, the publisher, the printer, everyone else who was involved in its making, and all those who helped it come into being, and all those who helped me have this copy. What do you have for me today? Through the Tarot Apokalypsis. I should have said that earlier. The deck I'm using today is Tarot Apokalypsis. Thank you, Spirit Team. Thank you, Spirit Council. What is your guidance for me today? Okay, I felt it stop right there. All right. And then we take the bottom card. And I'll make sure this is... Hold on a second. Let's make sure everything looks good. My apologies if it's a little crooked. It's going to be hard. My phone doesn't sit real tight in its holder, and it can kind of swivel and make the whole reading a little crooked. I try to fix that in editing, but I can't always do it very well. Okay, so this was supposed to be beginning, middle, and end of the week. Princess of Swords. Ah, the Wheel of Fortune. 7 of Cups. This card is funny. It's very graphic if you look closely. And then we have the underlying energy, the Hermit. Wow. We have 2 majors here. To be honest, I'm filming in the middle of the week. And so I would say I've kind of already been through this energy. I feel I can kind of tell you that earlier in the week I was trying to film this hashtag, and I did it, but I felt like I talked a lot. I talked more than I showed, and my mind was sort of too busy, and I wasn't happy with the results. I didn't feel like it gave the viewer what you came here for, to see my practice. So I did some readings even about whether to share it or not, and I felt like, yeah, it shows me being a little too busy in the mind and not doing what I wanted. So I kind of feel like I've already been through this energy this week in trying to film this, make decisions about filming this. This is the Princess of Swords, so this would be like the Page of Swords in this deck. I'll just give you a glimpse into the guidebook, because I don't know that I would stop and read this today. Oh, she's in the back. That's right. All of them are in the back here, because I don't always stop and read the guidebook, especially when the guidebook is this thick and there's, you know, pages and pages for every card. But because I do like to learn from this guidebook, I might at least stop in to see who we're dealing with here, or what I can learn to broaden my horizons, to broaden my mythological knowledge. And I know this deck takes us into, the sword suit takes us into a part of the world that is Scandinavian typically, so more Nordic in its beliefs. We have Odin mentioned here. It tells us more about that mythology, which I appreciate. And so I might spend some time typically studying this as a way to learn more. Let's see. And then we have the middle of the week, and this is a turning point. This is fate even. This is the Wheel of Fortune. I believe this is Fortuna here. I can't quite remember. Let's see. And what I'm remembering, oh, it's Demeter or Demeter. That's lovely. I love the different seasons depicted here. I don't work with Demeter per se, but I am a mother and I've spent a lot of my years in a mothering mindset. It's a big part of my identity even beyond my children. So she's somebody that I feel like kind of drawn to and maybe want to spend some time working with. I've worked more with Persephone and even with Hecate than I've ever worked with Demeter. I like to say Demeter for some reason, but that's probably not right. So I would stop probably and read all this if I had the time, because I'm feeling drawn to her really almost more than I'm feeling drawn to the Wheel of Fortune as an energy. But when I just saw this, it was giving me this feeling of maybe based on the reading I did earlier and whatever it was this middle of the week that kind of brought me into drawing closer to source instead of being, you know, too fragmented. It does feel like maybe a shift has taken place. I did feel more ready to make this reading again, rather to do this filming again, because it's challenging to do filmings and it's challenging to read aloud for an audience. But maybe that's the shift that's taking place. Maybe some kind of fated thing is going on here. And yet, you know, the rest of the week moving into the Seven of Cups, to me, that might be... Seven of Cups in general doesn't quite look like this in my mind. I think of it more like having a lot of sort of imaginative or fantasy options, or it's a tricky card for me, honestly, to translate for myself. It doesn't come up a lot, and whenever it comes up, I feel like I have to read it a little differently than its standard RWS meaning. And of course, sometimes I use Thoth-based decks as well, or even rarely I use a Marseille-based deck, and I work with numerology sometimes. But this is a little bit of a challenging energy. It feels a little bit like I've lost my tether, or I'm a little ungrounded maybe at the end of the week. It can be, though. What I do on the weekends is that's typically the time of the week when I get to go into my creative writing, or I get to I don't have as many jobs in the household that I'm responsible for like I do the first part of the week. So in a lot of ways, my weekends kind of look like this, honestly, not this male bathing party here in the Roman baths or whatever it is. But I think this is cups. Is that the cups? Excuse me a second. I'm a little distracted. I'm forgetting now. Each of the suits in this deck is a different mythology system, a different part of the world's mythology. I wanted to say this was Roman, but now I'm thinking it's probably Greek. Just real quick. Now, see, this is what I would do on my practice. I would be interested in what I can learn about it. Yeah, we're in Greece here, ancient Greece. an ancient Grecian bath. I love this time of the week. It's my favorite time of the week when I can lose myself in my imaginative world, because my writing is very important to me, moving ahead with my writing. And I only really get a couple days a week when I can kind of, I don't have to cook, I don't have to do the dishes. Other people in the household are taking care of those things. I often don't have to run errands. The kids don't necessarily have to go to any doctors because it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, maybe that's what that's referring to. That's a welcome energy. And then we have the Hermit underlying it all. And that's interesting because I am having a pretty good week in terms of being able to go inward and do my own thing. That's sort of how I prefer my weeks like that. I don't prefer having a lot of errands, or I really dislike having a lot of doctor's appointments. I don't like having any kinds of appointments. And this week I was thinking early to myself, isn't it wonderful that I don't have much on the schedule at all? It's like miraculous. I can actually play with my, I play with my cards regularly, but I can actually play with filming. I can actually play with my creative works, more of the week than just there. And spiritual type readings, things that matter to me about my spiritual path. So that's what I'm seeing here. And typically I love to mix Oracle with my tarot. So let's just throw because I'm feeling like these major arcana are calling in maybe a sort of a spiritual realignment. Let's see what the spirit cards offer. This is Spirit Cards Oracle deck by John Moseley. And it's a really, really nice deck. I just got this this summer. And I haven't worked with it more than like a handful of times, but I had seen it years ago and wanted it, but I didn't get it right away. It's not a cheap deck. Anyway, I'll list these decks in my description below. What do we have to go with this beautiful reading, Spirit Guides? What do you have for me for this week? Any extra messages you have for me? This is a large deck. What other messages or additional insight would you like to add to this reading, please? Thank you for these cards. Thank you for these cards. Thank you for these cards. Thank you for these energies and this insight and this guidance. For this week ahead, or the week that I'm in currently, that is up through Sunday. What is your guidance for me, Spirit? I'm going to cut the deck this time. Please bring forward the card or cards you have for me this week. I just sort of feel the shift in my body. It's time to stop. Macaw spirits. That's interesting. I haven't gotten this one before. And you'll see here the keywords say visibility, uniqueness, ascension. Ooh, that's great. I am feeling this one, visibility, of course, because I'm making this filming. And uniqueness came out in a reading I did to prepare for filming this hashtag. I used this deck, Soul Trees Oracle cards, and I got several cards to prepare. Unique Gifts is one of them. Just thought I'd show you real quick. There you go. I got these cards. Yeah. When I was preparing myself for this filming, that's not the one. Or is it? This is Speak From Your Heart or something. Anyway, and I sometimes do that before I have to read for others or read for a filming. I'll pull some cards, usually from this deck here, the Soul Trees, to prepare myself. And, this means grounding to me. This means take breaks and pause and breathe. You can edit the pauses out. You don't have to constantly talk, although I usually do. And then I end up being sorry for that because I forgot to say something or I slurred my words, and I apologize if my enunciation is not great. So yeah, unique gifts, bringing in, sharing what I uniquely do with the cards and, trying to channel from spirit, meaning interpreting the cards and remembering what I want to say, and getting any hits in the moment as I'm reading, and then celebrating that I've done this and it's finished, and hopefully I can live with it and upload it and share it with you all. So yeah, Ascension is also relates to this, well, especially to this energy, something shifting, you moving into a part of your destiny. You know, you're doing something that is aligned with your sacred work, your soul's path, however you look at it. You're rising up to like a better version of yourself. That is something else that the astrologer that I was listening to was talking about. So yeah, I really feel that all these three, and I love this deck. I think it's just one of those one hit kinds of, or one card kinds of hits that go a long way. So let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say. I will say that I typically photograph my readings. I'm a nut that way. I have so many pictures that I have to deal with and manage because I love to photograph my readings. But hey, I mean, I know that they're going to give me joy later in life. I'm going to, you know, maybe make a photo album of my readings. But I'll have to say this too. The best part is just seeing the cards again. I don't understand readings when I don't have the context for them, right? So if I don't have the question to go with the reading, and even if I do, it hits different in the moment, right? It doesn't hit the same when it gets stale. You can't interpret it the same way. But just to see the cards together is fun, especially when they really look nice together. I do also love to journal on my on Microsoft Word, which is, you know, word processing software, because it lets me copy and paste text. If I want to copy some lines out of the guidebook and paste it, I like to keep track of my different decks that way. So I'll have maybe a deck or a document just for this deck, for instance, and I'll have all the cards in that document, meaning I'll have them all listed. And then if I copy some of this out of the guidebook, I only have to copy it that one time. And then if it comes up again and I want to paste it into my journal again, that is my digital document journal, it's ready to go. So I like to transcribe parts of the guidebook when they matter to me. And I also like the fact that I can do a search. So if I record anything from this deck, I'll be able to search my documents, even multiple documents at one time, to see when did I last use this deck, or if I had a revelation about a particular deity or a particular time of the year or something, and I want to go back and see when did I write this about that. I remember mentioning X or Z, so I can do a search for that, and I think that's really cool. I get a lot of insight into my growth by following those breadcrumbs, so to speak, of when these different topics have come up for me before. Otherwise, I think it's magical to keep handwritten journals. You know, I don't do a lot of that because I do the other thing, and I find that I don't really keep up with that, but they certainly are beautiful, and I think they're wonderful to show. And I think there's something very magical about putting pen to paper and creating your own thoughts on paper, as well as your own doodles or drawings or anything like that as well, or pasting in with literal paste or tape things that go with that reading is awesome. So I admire that as well. And that's about the most important things I think I wanted to cover. I thank you if you stuck with me throughout this hashtag, and I thank Anna. I forgot to say that in the beginning. Thank you, Anna, for starting this hashtag. I really appreciate it. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I think many of us will probably appreciate it and jump on it, and I look forward to watching several of those, as many as I can, and commenting where I can. And yeah, I appreciate it. And if you'd like to leave me thoughts on anything, or share your, especially if you're not going to make a video, if you want to share any part of your practice in the comments, I would love to read those. And we'll see when I get back on this channel. Until next time, folks, take care. Have a lovely week yourselves. Have a wonderful time with your own tarot practice and whatever you do for cartomancy, or if you're just learning, I would love to hear that too. And until next time, I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.